And hello. I hope everyone can hear me and the volume is correct. So let me know. Hey, Lectu. Good, good, good. Welcome, everybody. All right. So it has been a long time since the last update. Um, Usually, for those who are usually with us and know how we proceed, um, like to hear. Um, we tend to do our developer updates, me and Destiny, um, and we do them usually after a month, 2 months. More often than not, it's 2 months. Now it's been 3 or 4 months, I think. It's been a little bit of time because we had all sorts of things happening in the background. Um, Today I'm not with Disney because he is unfortunately a little sick and taking a day off, and I am also a little sick and would have liked to take a day off, but um, we had planned for this update, and so that's why I'm here. Um, but my energy levels might be a little different than from what you're used to. So apologize for that. And yeah, let's get started. So, um, as I was saying, it's been a long time since the last time we did a live stream, and part of that is that we've been doing a lot of changes in the background, um, a lot of like internal processes and things within the Forge. Um, there's a lot of stuff that will impact our users, but not necessarily in any kind of visible ways. Um, there's small polishing on various pages that we've done, adding small little features or bug fixes in the service of improving the user experience and providing better customer service and things like that. But it's not necessarily any like big feature or flashy things. So you may not have noticed, but I assume that some other people would have likely noticed some of those changes. A big thing also is that the company has grown. We reached, I believe, 16 people last time, um, 16 staff members, which is a lot for such a small, initially small team. And so we've spent quite a bit of time trying to improve with regards to the project management, staff management, and all sorts of things that will allow us to perform better as a company. Um, and we're continuing to grow. We are absolutely still growing. So it was really important for us to really take a step back and establish those procedures and improve the way that we do work so that the work can move at a reasonable pace and continue to work in the service of the users. Um, so, yeah, that's definitely not something that's user facing, but it was important for us to take that step and take care of that um, before we start growing again. And I think we've established some really good internal practices that allow us to better do our jobs. So with that, we're also starting with, let me just open this page, um, posting again some new roles at the Forge. We've posted that a while back. I think like 4 months ago we did that, and we did fill in those roles, and now we're trying to fill them again because we need to continue growing. We need another DevOps person, for example. So the DevOps role is reopened. We were planning on hiring 2 people last time. We only got one person, so now we're reopening the roles to get the second person. And also our senior software developer role is open again. So if you know anyone who would be qualified and interested in that, then please send them our way. And if you are one of those talented software developer or DevOps, then please send your resume to us. Um, so that was one of the changes that we did recently to the jobs page. But a lot of the work that has been happening was also in service of Foundry V12. So, as you may have heard, Foundry V12 was released recently. I think it was like a couple of months ago, I think. I don't remember the exact date. I should check, but at this point. Yes, no, it's gonna keep nagging at me, I think. So let's just go and check really quickly. Release notes, Foundry V12, uh, testing stable. So that was May 22nd. So yes, it's been about 4 months now, I believe. Um, yeah, we've been working on that a lot since the release of V12. It was not as difficult to implement some of the changes as we had with V11. V11 was um, pretty difficult for us, and if you hadn't seen, I believe we had let's see if was it engineering? I think it was this one where we talk about the challenges of Foundry V11. Um, and yeah, so we've worked on V12, but it wasn't too bad. Although there was one very specific thing that has prevented us from recommending V12 yet. But let's talk about the small changes. First of all, we had some issues with regards to premium package installation because we have to rely on Foundry doing those installations. And we need to communicate with Foundry to know the progress of that. And some of that interface has changed, so we needed to accommodate that, as well as some internal Foundry uh, WebSocket APIs that we required for the user management feature of the Forge that broke with V12, so we had to fix that. There was also an issue with assets library integration with V12, specifically with being able to browse your assets library and share folders between users and things like that. So we had to tackle that as well. And finally, one of the big, well, not big, but one of the smaller changes was also with regards to Foundry logs, because you can always go from your Foundry game and access your logs, right, by looking at View Foundry logs. And the way that that worked was to fetch and return one of your the log file from Foundry. But with V12, now it's using multiple log files, one for each day, I believe, and then there's a rotation on those files as well when they reach a certain size, etc. So we couldn't just like grab one file and be done with it. So we had to change things, and now you can view both your pre V1211 V1211 pre V12 logs as well as the post V12 logs. Um, and just recently, we just pushed an update that switches automatically to the post V12 logs if you are already on V12. Because before you had to go click to the right tab, which was just part of the polishing changes that I was talking about. That it's not like a big deal, but just having to click the logs and then click on the right tab before you actually see what is relevant to you. That's a small thing, but it can affect someone and make them waste time if they didn't notice that they were in the wrong tab. So that was one of the other improvements that we did. Just I think it was yesterday's release that changed that. Um, but yeah, we added the support for basically fetching all of those logs and providing them to the user. And so if you scroll down enough, it will start fetching more of those logs and potentially switching to a different file to continue fetching more of that data, etc. So this was really useful to users as well. And if you have been trying to launch your V12 games, shortly after we released support for V12, um, you would have noticed an error that a lot of people unfortunately had, which was a econ refused error, which basically said that it could not connect to Foundry. And when you were launching a game, you would usually see that with V12. One of the reasons for that is And it's still the reason for why we have not yet recommended V12, because you can see if you're looking at the latest Forge recommended, it's still V11. The latest Foundry release is V12, obviously. So we still have not recommended V12 specifically because of that. And the reason for it is um, with V12, what they started to do is in order to improve the stability of worlds and make sure that there's no partially migrated data, whether in compendiums or in your world or anything like that, then V12, as it's starting, and loading your world, it will migrate every single entity in there. Every actor, journal entry, scenes, items, etc. It will migrate them to the new format, or to the new like data from the updated system or anything like that. Usually, those migrations happened only when you upgraded from one major version to the next of Foundry. So if you were moving from V11 to V12, it would migrate. Then people would receive the warning when launching their world of Foundry is currently migrating your world. Please try again later. And it takes a few minutes, and then it's done, and people launch their game, and they don't have to worry about that anymore. But with V12, because it's doing it every single boot, it has caused a slowdown of the loading of the world. Um, Usually, like if you're on a local machine, the slowdown goes. So basically, instead of launching in like 2 seconds, it would launch in 15 seconds, which is not so bad. But on the Forge, because of the infrastructure and the way that data is distributed across multiple servers, for replication, for resiliency, for high availability, and also to allow any server that pops up to be able to access its data regardless of where it's located and things like that, the infrastructure makes things different. And for explaining that in kind of like layman terms, it's like saying um, that you have a NAS, network attached drive in your home network, and if you're launching Foundry from your SSD versus your launching Foundry that was installed on the NAS, you'll see a very big difference in the time it takes to launch, and that's because the number of input-output IOs that you're able to do over the network is going to be slower. This is very technical, and I think we'll do a blog post to just kind of explain the technical aspects behind it. I think that will be an interesting thing for everyone. Oh my god, Alaric is in the chat. Hey, Alaric. Hello. Hey, world. Um, Weird login method wouldn't be configured automatic log routing this big. Um, yeah, I think it's a good way to do the log rotate. I'm happy with that implemented change in V12. But anyway, you are. I'm happy to see you here, Alaric. I haven't spoken to you in a long time, and you're a friend, so really nice to see you here. Warmed my heart. But you did distract me from what I was saying, so let's see where I was. Um, right. So, like, if you're launching from a NAS, because of the latency, even if it's zero point 0.1 millisecond, as is usually like in a private network like that, or even a local host, that zero point 0.1 millisecond of latency to access a file is going to have a big effect when you're doing 100,000 operations, which is what happens when you try to migrate all those entities from Foundry. So the bigger your world, or the more compendiums you have access to, this affects a lot people with Pathfinder 2, because there's many compendiums in Pathfinder 2, so a lot of data. And so when you do 100,000 operations of, even if there's no change during the migration, it still tries to write back the new updated data. That slows it down. So when we used to launch into Foundry within maybe 5 to 10 seconds, now it can take over 2 minutes even. Usually it's around 1 minute, 2 minutes. And from our side, we had a timeout of 30 seconds. So for us, if after 30 seconds Foundry was not loaded, it was not responding to requests, we considered that it was frozen for unknown reasons, and we would just shut it down. So that caused us issues. So we improved on that. Um, So now users don't get that connection refused error when they try to launch Foundry. Now it's a much more user-friendly error message, first of all, but also secondly, uh, it will also detect when Foundry is still in the boot up process, even if it's not responding to requests, because we just can't connect to it. It's not listening on a port at all. But we are able to go and read those log files and determine that yes, Foundry is loading. It's still in that process, so we can instead show a message to the user that says, "Please wait while Foundry is still loading." I don't know if I have. Uh, I don't know if I have any kind of. Can everyone still see me, receive me? No, I just had Twitch give me an error. Just is my internet broken? I think, yeah, I think my internet just went away. Hello? Yeah, I can't even check. Okay. Let's see if Twitch is working. Hello, hello. And it looks like I'm back. And I'm back. Sorry about that. It looks like I lost internet for a few minutes here. Everything just went away. Um, and even the Wi-Fi dropped out, so I think the router rebooted. Um, so apologies for that. I hope you can all still receive me. Trying to just double check here that yes, it is working. Back. All right, sorry. Hello, and welcome back to me, I guess. All right. So what was I saying? 25, not the cat, but I actually thought maybe our bunnies had something to do with it. We do have two bunnies at home. And maybe the bunny nibbled on some wire, although they should all be out of their reach. Um, but I guess not. It's just, I don't know, the router rebooted for some reason. All right, so let's see if I can get my mind back to where I was. Yes, I was talking about the connection refused error. Uh, going from 2 to 10 seconds to boot into your world versus 1 minute to 2 minutes, even more than 2 minutes, we've seen that Foundry takes just to go through all of the entities in your world and compendiums and just migrate them basically one more time, um, this has caused a lot of problems from our side. We see Foundry is refusing to connect, to load, so we think that um, uh, it's frozen when it's not. So we fixed that. We fixed also by checking the log files to ensure that Foundry is still continuing to load and is working properly instead of relying on the connectivity to Foundry itself via its port, because it doesn't listen to the um, web to the socket to the port until it's done. So that's a long time to wait, basically. So we fixed that. And uh, while we fixed it, it's still not a good user experience in our opinion, which is why we are not yet recommending Foundry. And the reason for that is if you if you just click on a world to launch it, I don't know, this one is set to V12. So let's say I'm gonna stop this world and then I click. So I just clicked. You can see it's loading. Now it takes a little bit of time. So it's probably not going to take a lot of time because that's not like Pathfinder, but it's still, as a user, it's not a good experience to just, you clicked on it and you have to wait all this time. This was probably like 15 seconds, so it wasn't too bad. But it makes a difference with V11 because V11 it would have taken probably 2 seconds for this type of launch. So what we're working on, and I was really hoping to have that released for today. Um, uh, but I think that's gonna go to next week. Let me see. It's laggy for people. Yeah, I don't know what internet issues I'm having. I apologize for it. Is it still watchable? Can you still follow what I'm saying? Is my audio still going through properly? Just gonna wait for some info. Yeah. Okay. All right then. All right, so I'll keep going in that case. If there's some issue, please let me know. All right. So, as I was saying, what we're working on and probably to be released in the next week or two is an update that will affect all users, even if you're on V11. In that, if I click here, so I'm about to click, so 3, 2, 1, and click, it loads immediately a page, and then you see an actual loading screen here. So we are launching Foundry and just waiting for it to start. And so once it's starting, then we programmatically ask it to launch the world and then wait for it to finish, and then we redirect the user. So this gives a much, much better user experience. Um, you can see the world launching and the progress towards it, and you don't have to wait, um, a long time to just sitting there with zero interaction. Like you don't know if your browser is broken, is it slow, like what is happening with the browser itself, or anything like that. You can see exactly what happens um, as you're loading your screen. That's so much better than a click and you don't know for 30 seconds what's happening. So this is in the works. I'm really happy to see this. This was done by Eranziel, who's in the chat, and really good job there. So congrats, and we hope to have it, done and ready for you all to enjoy it by next week, hopefully. But still need to go through QA, PR reviews, lots of work that people who aren't developers don't necessarily realize how much work goes into finalizing something for release after it's actually working and done. But I'm confident that it won't take very long. And once we release that, because that's the holdup basically, once we release that, then you'll be able to we'll be able to set Foundry V12 as a recommended release, and then everyone will be able to move to it. Let's show it again one more time. Oh, you see here, it doesn't talk about like the migration because this world is V11. So this is how it would look on V11, for example. So that's a small little difference there. Um, because V12, as we connect to V12, we get more information via the WebSocket that we don't get with V11. So we can't follow the migration progress with V11, but also there wasn't necessarily migration with V11 versus with V12. Um, but you can see, there you go, and then loading the world, then it's done, and then it should just redirect to it once the world is done loading. There you go. So, uh, very happy with that, and hopefully you all are excited to see it and to finally be able to migrate to V12 officially. Let me see. I'm gonna make a slight pause to check with the comments here. Right, so the video is fine. Yes, like to a much better user experience. That's why I'm really happy with it. And you know, it's a funny story because I wanted that very, very early on in like 2020 when I started the Forge. I wanted to have something like that, but I wasn't able to get it to work properly. I wasn't able to have all of the different use cases handled so that the launch screen was going to work in a reliable way. So uh, it's been for a long time waiting for us to be able to achieve it, and now we just basically sort of had no choice, right? Because back then you would launch into your world in 2 to 5 seconds maximum, and a 5 second delay, like it didn't deserve having its own launch screen like that. Um, Especially with the complexity involved in getting it to work. But now we kind of had no choice because if it's 1 or 2 minutes of migration and things like that, then you have no choice. Considering that, you know, HTTP request times out after a minute and 30 seconds, so you have to you have to have something in there. Um, so that will improve a lot the user experience of everyone. Let me see. Jenny5 says, this will help. I get a lot of players who message me asking if it's working or not. We just reload several times just in case. Yes, exactly. We've had a lot of um, feedback, but also we notice that users tend to do that. Like they click and it's taking so long, they don't realize what's happening. And so they just click again, which will cause our side to say, oh, the user is trying to access this game, the game should be online, but it's not responding, so it probably died. So it kills it again and restarts. So it's that refresh is basically causing a sort of vicious cycle of forcing Foundry to stop and restart, and therefore causing it to restart the migration from the beginning and then extending the time it will take every time. So that's yeah, this should deal with it once and for all, hopefully. Um, and yes, Alaric, it would occur on each world with V12, and with anything, with any version of Foundry, it will just become the standard. With V12, you have that extra, those extra messages. Um, like if I'm trying to launch this one, you see the migrating world data and loading package data and then migrating it. Those three steps appear that wouldn't appear if you're on V9, 10, 11, etc. Sorry, this is my alarm telling me I need to feed the bunnies. Um, so yeah, and let me see. Artificial saying, would you see that refresh in the same way if it gets to that next screen? Downloading a world data doesn't show, except the regular if you mean I need to refresh to get it to load. I'm not sure what you mean with that question, Artificial. I'm gonna let Erenziel parse it and respond to you via chat, because I'm not sure I fully follow what you meant by that. All right. And let me see here. Going back to my things to talk about. Um, let's see if I missed anything with regards to the launch screen. Um, yeah, we've also been working on improving um, the launch process itself to make things happen faster as well, as much as we can from our side anyway. Um, and yeah, it's yeah, it's a very simple UI to keep it, as friendly as possible. Um, and yeah, apart from that, moving on to D&D Beyond integration, which is another thing that we've worked on, and now it doesn't require Patreon. So I don't know if anyone has seen that. We did announce it in the forums, although I think we probably should make it clearer with maybe a blog post announcement or something like that. Although now, if you go to the bazaar, um, it will tell you you need to be at storyteller tier or higher to be able to access D&D Beyond integration. So now, if you're on storyteller or world builder, you get access to our D&D Beyond integration from the forums, from the bazaar, I mean. Um, and you also get that information if you go to like here, basically it explains that as well. It doesn't mean that the feature is out of beta. It still is considered beta at the moment, though we are making a lot of progress recently to take it out of beta. So we're going through what changes are needed. We're improving some of the processes also that are related to D&D Beyond. Um, we're much faster now in releasing updates when the metadata is updated as well. And we've also had to work on fixing some issues that we've had with the update to the rule books. Um, but the 2014 one changed um, both the player's handbook and the basic rules as well. And so they stopped working for a few hours or a day when we noticed that when they released them, and so we fixed that. But also with the release of the 2024 rule books, there were also new changes to the way that the D&D Beyond data presents itself that we needed to implement, such as rules glossaries, for example, that started that were introduced into the books database basically. Um, and so uh, we implemented that, and yeah. Apart from that, really, I think like the biggest change is that people don't need to go to Patreon in order to get access to this feature. And also, there's no more difference between adventures and rule books in the sense of storyteller can import both adventures and rule books. It's not There's not two different tiers based on the type of content that you want to import. So I think that's a very positive change for the users overall. Um, we are likely to start working a bit more on D&D Beyond in the next months, and hopefully be able to move it out of beta with better support for all the things that are in there. So keep an eye out for that. One other thing, if I don't know if anyone noticed, but the pricing here changed slightly, um, but also the pricing plans page itself has had a big um, uh, change. Now you can see between being billed monthly or annually. You can compare the plans in a much nicer sort of table. Um, we also not started, but we also made it more visible and clear that all of the prices do not include applicable taxes, as well as giving that link to seeing the status with regards to how things are taxed within the Forge. So just like a sort of quick reference guide on that. Um, and so that should improve again with regards to the user experience there. Less confusion, especially for some countries where um, they have an expectation that the tax is included in the price, even though in Canada that's technically not legal as far as I understand it. You have to separate what the tax is versus what the base price is. So different countries do things differently. Sometimes um, uh, it can be confusing to the user. So now you have that little footnote to make it clear to the users. So hopefully a little less confusion on that front. And speaking of taxes, just a quick note for both Estonia and Finland. You probably noticed it, but there's been an increase in the tax. I think something like from 21% to 22%, or from 20 to 21. I don't remember. And also between Estonia and Finland, it's ones, two different changes that happened at different dates. But we did need to adjust based on those changes in the laws of those countries with regards to the taxation. Um, and apart from that, we also improved. I believe it was within our privacy policy. Um, something. Where is it? Yeah, so we added a sub-processors page, which I know that some people will find that interesting or important, or it's definitely information that people need to have. So it doesn't change anything with regards to what we do. It's just giving more information to the users with regards to, you know, we have to deal with Stripe and with PayPal and where their servers are located. Um, um, our own servers, Cloudflare, you know, all the things that we use, even Discord and where the Discord servers are located. If you enable, the telemetry option in Foundry, uh, that then we tell you, if you're on Foundry v11 and more, then that data is transmitted to Foundry, which are based on the United States, etc. So it's just information that people probably would know, but not necessarily in this way. You get to have a full list with all of the details. So this is really important when it comes to safeguarding users' privacy and also, educating them on it and letting them know exactly what to expect. So really happy that this is finally up. We've been working a little too long on it. Uh, some I think a lot of the holdup for why this was not released earlier was just to make sure that we contacted everyone to make sure where their servers are located, so we could have a an accurate description of that. And some of them were a bit slower to respond than others, I suppose. Um, but yeah, we encourage users to always stay informed on how their data is handled by any company. Um, it's a bit boring, but it's definitely important stuff. Um, Apart from that, what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, one of the things here. So Kappa AI, I assume you all know what it is. If you click on the little help button, you can ask questions that go through our documentation and help users. This is AI powered, and it's been very helpful in letting users. Um, I think second here. I think there's someone who needs to get their spam message deleted. How do I do that? Sorry, I am not that used to moderation on Twitch, unfortunately. I used to do it before, but oops, I think I pinned the message by mistake now. Okay, unpin. Now how about that other one? How could I delete it? I don't know, and I feel like an idiot for not knowing. Oh, there you go. Mod view. And then deleted. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, our AI help, you can ask the questions and you get responses based on our documentation and things like that. And it's been very helpful to users, but it's also helpful to us because we're able to see what questions people ask the most. And one of the things that came up often was how to create a new game, and people just get lost. They don't understand, once they've created their account and they imported their Foundry games, now they want to create a new world. They don't know how. They just have access to the game they have here. Um, and especially if they don't have the game manager enabled, because if you have enabled it, you can go to your game settings and then you have create new game, and that works, great. Um, but now, if you're on the front page, you also have the create new game dialog. So this makes it much easier for users to be able to create their games, whether cloning an existing game or importing a game from the bazaar, or even just creating a blank new game. Um, and once they do that, you know, we take care of creating everything for them automatically. Um, However, if you are not with the game manager feature enabled, so let's say I disable this, or even if you're not subscribed at Storyteller or more, yeah, failure to launch game. The create new game button becomes information to tell users how to do that within Foundry itself. So that's really useful because I think a lot of Foundry users get lost. They don't understand the return to setup menu within Foundry and how to create games within Foundry. So we're able to give them that information, even if they don't have the game manager feature enabled. All right, but let's go now and re-enable it when Destiny forgets to enable Game Manager. That's a good uh, title for the Foundry server, I guess. All right. Getting a phone call. Apologies. Second. All right. So, what was I saying? Right. Um, oh, another one that needs to get deleted. Thank you, Alaric. Uh, yeah, Zgrimshell should be a moderator, so he should be able to handle this. So what I found out is there's a button at the bottom of the chat that says like mod view or something like that, and then there's another button to enable like moderator buttons, and then you're good. All right. Sorry, so many distractions today. First, I lose my internet, and then I'm getting the phone call. There was the alarm earlier, and these two people who come spamming the chat. Um, and once I'm distracted, I have trouble remembering where I was. So if you don't mind giving me just a second. Uh, right, yes. So I was talking about the ability to create a new game from here, or to at least get the information on how to create a game if you don't have the game manager enabled, and that has helped a lot. And we're already seeing those questions from the AI chatbot just disappear because people will see much more easily a create new game button on the front page, um, rather than having to dig through various menu and then launching Foundry itself and then things like that. So that has been helpful. And now we're continuing to see what is the user's question that comes up more often, so we can tackle those, and this way slowly and continuously improve the user experience of our users. All right. Um, Second here. Um, and so Um, that's mostly it when it comes to the main changes that we've been working on. Um, if you go to our blog, you'll also see that we've released multiple interviews. Since we do one every month, basically, uh, we've had, I guess, four different ones, or even five. No, four, I believe. Yeah, since the last live stream, we've had Mammoth Factory Games, Bearworks, Macro Music, and Pipu. Um, they are amazing creators. Mammoth Factory has released a ton of adventures. So if you're looking for like 5e adventures, one shots, they have a huge collection of adventures that are really great, and you can go and check out, um, the the interview with them to learn more about what it is that they do and things like that. But you can see here there is a really large collection of one shots and adventures and full on campaigns, even from Mammoth Factory. So, highly recommend. Um, Bearworks, everybody knows Bearworks. We are actually going to showcase one of their works in today's Bazaar showcase. Macro Music, amazing music. If you have not had the chance to listen to that, although I believe we've showcased it in the past in some of our Bazaar showcases. Um, Great interview as well as with Bearworks. And final one is from Pihu, um, who was just like the most recent one released, and you can have a look at this interview with them and look at their content, which is amazing. Um, each of these interviews have been incredibly insightful glimpses into the art world of digital tabletop RPGs, and even just in general in the TTRPG industry. So we highly recommend that you check them out and check also the content that they have on the Bazaar. And with that, we are going to do the Bazaar showcase. As Destiny is not here, as I said before. Oh, thanks, Yana, for posting the links in the chat. So, as Destiny is not available, I'll be doing this showcase. So, please be uh, indulgent and not too harsh, because I think it's going to be the first time that I do the Bazaar showcase myself. And as usual, after the showcase, we'll be able to give out a $20 gift card to to a lucky winner. Let me just get that giveaway. There you go. It should be announced in chat. So if you type hashtag giveaway in the chat, you'll be able to be entered into the gift card giveaway for $20. Right. And thank you, Yana, for doing those interviews, by the way. Yana is our social media and community manager, and she's been tackling these interviews every month, as well as our social media platforms. So thank you, Yana. And yeah, let's get started. So let's open that world. Not needed anymore. And so, yeah, for those who maybe missed it, you can type hashtag giveaway in the chat in order to get entered into our random draw for a $20 gift card. All right. So um, the first package that I'll be showing today is Port City by Angela Maps. And I'm going to post it in the chat. There you go. And so we have a beautiful, beautiful port city here that you can have a look. It's a relaxing getaway for your party if they want to have a little nice, chill, relaxing day. Um, not quite at the beach, but at the port. Although there is a little bit of beach and nice places to relax and a marketplace, real cool tropical-like setting, very large and very beautiful map that your players can explore during the day, um, and buy supplies and take care of anything that they need to take care of. And you also have the same map, uh, but with lights for the night variant. This could be a really interesting um, event that might happen. And one thing that I found really um, interesting with this map, and I wish I had it when I was doing my own game a few years back, is that the space is really large, right? So you can, this is the kind of place where you're finally going to be able to say to your ranger that they are out of range um, from from hitting someone with their longbow. 120 feet is very easy to achieve in between the buildings, and so if you want to have like a battle of epic proportions that spans, multiple buildings and hundreds of feet. Um, you know, this is what, like 400 feet uh, overall. That would be a really good one, especially with all of the open spaces and things like that. If we take our Nosferatu, you can see also how the lighting is done, so you can still see all of the buildings as you move around. Um, and this is like really nice, and you can have some really great fights here. Um, and it's only 4.99 on the Bazaar Marketplace, and it's a great set of maps there. And the next one that we're gonna be showcasing um, is also a great set of maps. Let me just post that in the chat again, and also remind people of the hashtag giveaway to be entered into the giveaway. Alaric, you smell tortoises. Coconut water. Yes, yes, there's definitely coconut water. I believe this is the stall where they sell it. Um, and no, leave the tortoises alone, and the turtles too. Uh, they have enough trouble as it is. Let's not disrupt the wildlife. Anyway, so the next one is the cathedral restoration maps by Bearworks, and you can see this large cathedral here. It has some nice little cemetery next to it. It's a rather large map, and I just want to show you here the walls. The wall setup is really interesting and complex. And the reason for that is that you can actually go inside of the cathedral because it makes really good use of the levels module, and you can have 3 levels basically. So these people are on the ground floor. These are 10 feet up, as you can see, and so they are on the rafters there. Um, and this can make for really, really nice three-dimensional combat. Um, I don't know if you've ever done three-dimensional combat, but this is really nice map for it. And yeah, there you go. And if we look at it, you have multiple variants as well. You have the standard one, the daylight, ghostly one, grim, and even one for the night. Let's import this one actually. Um, you can see here it's very different type of atmosphere at night. Um, and the one I showed here is the grim. Um, and so yeah, inside you have all of these scaffolding and construction work, and it's yeah, it doesn't look very finished or furnished, and there's a lot of possibilities for combat to happen in this kind of place. It's ridiculously complex, so many layers and levels, but in such a really cool way. So this map I think shows quite um, a bit of what you can do with Foundry VTT that usually you wouldn't be able to do with any other kind of VTT. And the package is $5.99 on the Bazaar Marketplace and definitely worth it. And I would recommend it if you're looking for something like that to add to your game. And one thing you may have noticed is these creatures here. Um, they look a little worrisome for me. Not sure how they got here, but they are a little scary. Um, Very goblin-like, and you can see there's a whole horde of them in the street here. And these are actually coming from our third package of the day. Um, the Creatures of the Horde. Um, the fourth package by David North. Creatures of the Horde 4 by David North. And I pasted the link to it in in the chat. And you can see these really incredible uh, monsters, very goblinoid. Um, they have they, they they are scaring me a little. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but yeah, they are very, very nicely done. Beautiful art. These are asset packs, so well, they are here as tiles um, because they are asset packs that you can use. But you could see here, they are used as tokens actually alongside the character sheet. So um, but I think just for showing them here, instead of making tokens, we use just tiles to show what they could look like. So those could be, um, you know, all sorts. You have these goblinoid wolves, I would assume, um, and they are used here in this sort of chariot. Um, there's a little bit of what's it called again? The Infernal Machines vibe that I'm getting. It's very Mad Max in its style, um, and I would love to see someone playing, descend into Avernus or something like that. A sort of Infernal Machines kind of game where you have these goblins, this horde, uh, just wreaking havoc as well. Um, Really, really beautiful art, and I hope you like it just as much as I do. And yeah, highly recommend. And you can get it on the Bazaar Marketplace for $4.99. And yeah, there's some really good stuff here that would improve so much on any kind of game, in my opinion. Um, and that's the third and final package that I wanted to showcase for the Bazaar showcase today. And with that, it's time to draw the winner of the gift card. I'm just going to give you all a little bit more time, just a few more seconds to uh, get any late entrant into the giveaway. So if you have missed your chance to enter the draw, now is the time. Hashtag giveaway in the chat to be added to the draw, and then I'll do the draw. Let's put this here, and I think that's enough waiting. Let's draw someone. And Sir Robin is the winner for today's $20 gift card. Sir Robin, are you around? Yay! Congratulations, Sir Robin, for winning the $20 gift card um, from for today's developer update. All right, I will message you with the gift card. Um, And while I'm gonna be doing that, we will be switching to our Q&A chat. And then I'll need a minute to go and uh, catch up a little bit on the chat log. But give me a second to go and grab that gift card for first. You have the same shirt as me, Alaric? How surprising. Hmm? Very surprising. All right. So, any questions? How are you doing? Um, that is, that's a question. Um, I I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm doing okay. I'm doing what I can to be okay. Um, but I am tired. Um, I am tired and uh, just mentally not quite as good as I would hope to be. But that's life, and it is what it is. And yeah, not much more to say about that, unfortunately. Like to, yeah, Lancer for V12. That's Eranziel as well, um, and I do believe that he released it. I know that he did V11. It took a while that he did V11, and then moved on to doing V12. So, right, let me just catch up a bit on some of these messages. Larek telling me not to read his messages. Oh, okay, Ranzil. I wasn't sure, but since Lectu said it was released, I was like, okay, I didn't realize it. But yeah, I do know that you released it for V11, but yeah, I did think that you were still working on the V12 port. But I think it should be fairly quick at this point. Well, quick, everything's a relative, obviously, but in the sense that the changes needed between V11 and V12 are smaller than what was needed for V11. But I also think that one of the big thing that caused you to wait, or not wait, but rather um, that it took a while um, to get the V11 released was because uh, uh, you had a big change the way that the system itself worked, and so that was more of the thing slowing you down than the V12 adaptation itself. And now that that's done, then you should be able to move more quickly forward with it. Let me see. Thanks, Alaric. Um, yeah, well, I try to do good work. I do my best. I don't always succeed in the way that I want to, but I do what I can, and thank you. And yes, we are lucky, uh, more lucky than others anyway, uh, to be the way that we currently are, and I can't really complain about anything, to be honest. Wait, one of the other devs is that, yeah, that was with that. And did I hear you say you were planning on a dev blog on how your system currently works? Love such a refresher. Uh, did I say that on how a system works? No, what I was talking about was a dev blog on how, like the technical challenges with V12 with regards to um, uh, like the slowdowns on startup of Foundry and how it affected or forced us to implement that launch screen and how it was like what we needed to do in order to make that change and that launch screen work properly. So it's not so much about how the system currently works, but more about what the V12 migration needed and what the issue was and why the slowdown, etc. Especially like in layman's terms, explain like the NAS, the latency, all of that. It's gonna get really technical, so more of a technical blog that would try to explain it to most users, but also give some of the more in-depth details to those who do understand those concepts. I wish I could like have reactions in Twitch. Reading messages, I want to like react with a heart or with a thumbs up or something like that. Uh, Client base are doing something good, aren't you? Yeah, like to yes, that's that's a good point. And it's the positive things. It's like I'm not sad about the work, about the Forge, about the users. I think the community is absolutely amazing. The users are amazing. The team that we've built and the product that we've built is amazing. At least I am personally very proud of what we've accomplished and what the team has accomplished. So no complaints there. It's just personal life that affects me in a way that I can't quite control, unfortunately. Um, uh, yeah. I mean, I know sometimes asking someone how are you doing is just kind of rhetorical, and I'm supposed to say good, how are you? But I've never been like that. If someone tells me how are you doing, and I'm not feeling good, I'm just gonna say that, and that's just how it is. Um, yeah, like you heart all my messages, so we don't need to put an icon on it. That's true, Alaric. I heart all your messages. Yeah, and thanks for asking. Hmm. Any other questions? Would you consider at some point simply providing Game Manager to all users? Um, no, I don't think so. I think I think that the Game Manager feature is a important part of what the Forge provides, but I also think that it has value beyond um, what we're offering at the lowest tier. Um, One way to think of it is um, I mean, I can give all sorts of responses to that, but if we go with just the business aspect of it, if we remove that feature from Storyteller and just give it to everybody, then the question becomes what's the advantage of the Storyteller tier? Why would people upgrade to that tier if it doesn't have any kind of unique feature to it to justify that upgrade? I know that people might think about like, oh, increased quotas and things like that, but I've never really looked at it in that way personally. For me, it's always been more of The quotas are just things that are there for people um, uh, to use, and that's why you also have extras in case you want more space, but you don't necessarily want to upgrade to a higher tier. Um, and it just kind of says if you are at that level, then you probably are maybe like a professional GM or you have more requirements, so the quota increases at the same time to accommodate that. Uh, but at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, and I know that users will probably disagree and each person will view things in their own individual ways. But for me personally, each tier is about the features that it provides. It's not about the quotas. So each tier needs to have a specific feature that's unique to it. So Storyteller is more about the game manager, and World Builder is more about the save points feature. Um, and so people would upgrade based on their need, or rather, they would choose a tier based on what features they want. That's the approach that I see. Um, but excluding that, if you think about what we're providing in terms of value to just the game master tier, the lowest tier, um, you can get that for $4 a month, right? If you subscribe yearly, that's $3.99 basically, right? And then sometimes we even have 10% off and things like that. So it's an extremely low um, cost, very affordable tier for a lot of value that the Forge provides. And you could pay more to go host on AWS or DigitalOcean or something like that, but you get so much less that way. So a lot of people already tell me, why are you undervaluing what the Forge provides? Why are you providing a service that is better than the alternative and cheaper than the alternative? And like most people will tell you, well, if you can get a server on AWS for $5 and you are making it easier for them, then your tier should be higher than $5 automatically. But I don't like that. I disagree with that. And I've seen people, some people are students, some people don't have money necessarily, some people live in other countries that have a different kind of reference point in the sense of $4 per month might seem like a lot of people who live in third world countries. I don't want to make that more expensive for them. So that's why I want it to always be um, a very inexpensive tier. Um, like people sometimes say, well, here in Brazil, like the value of the money is so much different. Can you give like a lower price tier? And my answer is, well, that's what the Game Master tier is. That's what it's for. Um, but in my opinion, what the normal tier should be is the storyteller. So for me, and I think even if you go to the plans page, you'll see, we say the Foundry experience is the game master, and then the storyteller is the Forge experience. If you want the Forge experience, if you want what the Forge has to provide for you, then you start at the storyteller tier. And I see the game master tier as just a lower, like reduced price thing with more limitations to allow people who don't have the funds to still be able to enjoy some of our services. That's the way I approach it. I know that people will say that they see things differently, and that's totally fine. But that's my reason for why I don't think that I'll ever be providing the game manager feature to that tier, simply because we need to have uh, uh, something to differentiate between the two, and because I think that that reduced price and reduced functionality tier is there for a purpose. And if people want something different, then they can upgrade, or they can uh, just accept that that's just the way that it is. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know that some people would want the game manager and they just don't have the funds to for it, and I wish I could make everyone happy with that, but the reality of the business is that it's just not possible, unfortunately. Uh, Let me see. It was more of a general approach of providing an important feature at the base level. I understand the selling points for levels, but game manager versus not is a pretty big difference in how the Forge works overall. Yes, it is absolutely a very big difference, um, but it's also a difference that like not everyone wants it. To be fair, That's the first thing. Um, but it's also like without the game manager, that's just the way that Foundry works. Um, I think some people actually would prefer to have a more native sort of Foundry experience. Um, and if there's a better way of doing that, then maybe Foundry can implement an improvement to that interface. But I don't necessarily think that we can provide it ourselves. Um, I mean, we do provide it for storyteller with the game manager, etc. But I just don't think it should be part of the base offering necessarily. Uh, you like to switch to World Builder just for the save points and automatic game snapshots. Yes, we got you with those amazing features. Um, as for LiveKit, yeah, you don't use LiveKit server because BKit patrons and use those. Yeah, so LiveKit for me, I tend to dismiss it honestly because it was never planned. Um, and I know it's very restrictive in the way that I see things, but it's definitely that um, what I had in mind 4 years ago when I started the Forge in 2020 is what I consider it to be, in the sense of this is the feature for storyteller, this is the feature for world builder. LiveKit came after because of LiveKit server, no, Jitsi servers that start to impose limitations, and LiveKit that became the more like the better sort of standard for doing audio video, and people wanted it, needed it, and so I just kind of provided that because we have the means to provide such a service. um, but it was in my mind, it was always kind of like it's a free service that I'm just doing because the community needs it. Um, but where should I provide it? Because it is also going to be a fairly costly service on our side, both in terms of bandwidth and processing power, etc. So that's when I just like gave it to the World Builder tier. Could have been an add-on that you have to pay for, etc. But I didn't want that complication, so I just bundle that with the world builder as a sort of just where to put it, more than this is a feature for world builders. Um, but yeah, people will sometimes talk about LiveKit. I'm like, oh yeah, I even forget that we have that because it was never part of my initial sort of vision for the Forge. Uh, let's see. Alaric saying, I suppose if the idea is to provide the cheapest functional option, it's best to cut down where possible, and it makes sense. Fourth question. Heard you say you had 16 people already. This is an impressive amount of people and can introduce managerial complexity. Not to undervalue anyone's work or effort, but I'm surprised there's so many. No question, I guess. Simply wow. Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot of people. And yes, managerial complexity is a very good word for it. And that was also some of the what I was talking about early in the live stream, that I said some of our development slowed down because we had to start managing all those people and all the projects, and so we needed to start creating procedures and implement systems so that the work can all be done in a more efficient manner, etc. So yeah, that was definitely a challenge, and we're still growing, right? We're still trying to hire people, and yeah, so we have definitely a lot of work ahead of us to keep everything running smoothly. Um, and yeah, am I playing RPGs lately or now time for that? No, I'm not playing RPGs anymore. 5, 6 months ago, I think I dropped out of my game, mostly for mental health reasons. It's not so much about the time. Um, I think I could always make the time. I didn't have the time before, but I was still in a weekly game. Um, I don't know. I'd have to ask Oshi, but I think for a year or something like that, I was playing in their game for the weekly. Every Sunday we were playing, but then I just dropped out because I just couldn't anymore. Um, I mean, I answered how I'm doing earlier, so you kind of know already. But yeah, it's just I just couldn't keep going into a game every week when my mind was just somewhere else entirely. So very difficult for me, and like I hesitated for a while, but then eventually I just had to drop out. Like I couldn't basically, and I'm not at all, unfortunately, in a mental state that would allow me to um, go playing again with a group. Um, so yeah, I don't think I'll be playing RPGs for a little while, at least until things sort of go back to normal in my life, and I don't know when that will be. Um, but I'm trying in various ways to entertain myself and to keep close to the community that I love, but with RPGs, tabletop RPGs, and stuff like that. So I still keep following. Yeah. Uh, Alaric, oh, you're mostly manager yourself now. Yeah, that's true. You want to fight it off with Zlatan to see if you or him is the better manager? Then maybe I'll have two managers at the Forge. Fifth question from you. You excited for year 5 of the Forge? It's like a small kid already. Something interesting coming down the pipe. Wow, yes, 5 years. I mean, we just celebrated the 4 years not long ago. I guess it was 4 months ago. 5 years is coming soon. I'm more thinking about like January, like the new year, the fifth year, uh, but not like 5 year anniversary itself. Yeah, excited, definitely. And we're working on all sorts of projects. Some will take months, some will take years potentially, but I'm hoping that, for the 5 years, we'll be able to release something that will blow everyone's minds and say, "Oh, that's a new feature of the Forge. Wow!" Um, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll need to prepare a little something. I've been thinking of like Easter eggs, adding like Easter eggs on the website. That would be fun. Um, but yes, something interesting coming down the pipe. Yes, absolutely. What it is, I can't say. Not at the moment. Like to not to ask personal questions, of course, but I hope you're taking care and perhaps looking for help. Yes, yes, absolutely. I am taking care of myself. I am very well. Um, uh, I'm losing my words. I would know the word in French, not in English for some reason. Surrounded. Yes, I'm well surrounded with a lot of people who um, love me and that I love them, and who um, are going through the same thing and are helping as best as they can, and we all support each other. And I found a community that helps me deal with everything that's happening, and yeah, I do what I can. Yesterday, for example, I decided not to be home alone, and called up some friends and went there and spent a few hours just surrounded with good friends, and we had a good laugh, and it was a lot of fun. It was really a good way to feel better, and I do it as much as I can. And I've been doing a lot of it as well, and now I just have like physical exhaustion that I need to rest myself before going back out and meeting up with more of my friends, and having that community um, support me. Um, so yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking and thanks for caring. I am taking care of myself as much as I can, and I am seeking the help that I need, and I am receiving it. Um, there's just no magic pill, unfortunately, to make it all go away instantly. Um, but we persevere. That's all we can do. Alaric, small fish in a small pond. I think he told me once, big fish in a small pond, as the expression, but I don't. Okay, I remember what that was, the context for that one. Right, 80. and HD. That's a great username, by the way. AD and HD. Love it. I wish I had thought of that. Just wanted to thank you for all you guys are doing. I've been using the Forge for years and it's amazing. Oh, thank you very much, AD and HD. It's nice to hear. Uh, let's see what else. Sent you a reminder on a wonderful game we had a long time ago. Now check it out after the stream. Okay, well, I will do. Talking to friends is the best medicine. Also, having friends is the best medicine. I mean, I'm generally an introvert. I don't really have a lot of friends. I used to have one friend, I guess. Yeah, I guess my whole life I've just been like one, two friends. That's about my max. Now I have a big community of friends, of really, really dear people, um, who are amazing people as well. And uh, uh, yeah, it's weird that the introvert is suddenly a social person, um, but the last few months have changed me in unexpected ways, and I am glad for that change. Yes, it is a great username. I guess you first have to have the friend to talk to them. Chicken egg problem. Yes, true, but I'm very fortunate to have the the friends to talk to, so I'm all good. All right. Any other questions? Or we're just I mean, you all are my friends, and we're just friends now, having a nice little chat as well. So, uh, any more questions? If not, out of questions, apologies. No apologies needed. Ooh, great question. What do I think about Ember? That's a great question. I don't know quite how to answer that. I've looked at Ember a few times. I am a little bit confused about what exactly it is, because I think it's, you know, like a huge campaign, basically, um, with a lot of content, um, etc. But at the same time, with all of the automation and stuff, I'm wondering if it's meant to be as if it's like a video game sort of thing where it's automated and you don't need a DM. But I don't think that's the case, because like I've seen the at least a portion of that episode that Andrew DM'd for a group, um, Ember. So it still requires a DM. But I had that little bit of confusion, and I haven't been able to kind of like 100% fully grasp everything that it contains. Yeah, it does have that kind of video game vibe, and I think that's what confused me a little bit. But otherwise, it looks like a huge endeavor, huge project that looks really amazing. Like I've seen their trailer for Kickstarter, and obviously, it's been very successful as well on Kickstarter. So, a lot of people are liking it, and I hope that it gets released sooner than rather than later, or more specifically, that I can get access to poke at it sooner, not sooner, earlier than when it becomes like public, because I'm very curious about it. Um, yeah, a lot of resources into it, but also like just the sheer scale of it. It's a little intimidating. It's a little, it's huge. It's huge, and yeah, I'd love to give it a poke at some point when I have the time and when I have the access to it as well. Because right now I don't believe that we've been given any access to it. I don't think anyone has. But I believe when the Kickstarter ends, there's like early access, and so at that point, I'll want to poke at it a bit, just to get a more firm and concrete idea in my mind of what exactly it represents and what it contains. Um, but otherwise, yeah, it's looking good and exciting. I've always thought Foundry needed to divert into content generation for it to be sustainable, so it makes sense, sort of. Yes, I think they've done that for a while now. We kind of expected it. There was the Demon Queen Awakens, I believe. What was the other one? House Divided. That was a lot of great work. Um, they've. I don't remember if there was a third one, or I think there was a third one, but I don't remember it. Um, so they were already on that path to becoming content creators, um, and it makes a lot of sense as well, in my opinion, because you have so much. Um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, there's just so much that you can do, and when you have the platform that Foundry has, um, there's just uh, it's just like the logical next step. I think I don't think I can find better words than just saying is a logical next step. And of course, you know, you have the means to create content for Foundry, and you have the expertise and you have the team for it. So keep doing that and generating these content that you know people are gonna want for sure. And that's what people are looking for, in my opinion. You want to play something and you don't want to start like doing homebrew yourself or looking for the assets, etc. So having something ready made is huge, and that's that's why we like what we have on the bazaar as well. It's always been about making it easier for people to DM games, and Foundry has a team with really good expertise in doing that. Um, so it's absolutely the next thing that they should be focusing on, and I believe that Andrew already knows that. Obviously, he's already been working on that before we even thought of it, and um, yeah, uh, I can't wait to see kind of like what's in store after that, because you keep kind of pushing the envelope, and at some point, just what how ambitious is the next project going to be, basically. Yeah, I think a couple of years at least. Yeah. Amber might have been in the works for a while. I've been too far from this topic for a few years, don't know much. Yeah, well, it's been secret. I mean, nobody knew, but based on when they started hiring people to work on these kinds of things and how long it's been, um, and I think they also, when they announced it, they said that they were working on it for a couple of years. So yeah, they've been working on it for a while, but it's always been secret because, like any company, you don't know what projects are in the works until they get announced and released. Yes, yeah, that was a big clue. Like to saying that at some point, all people they hired were creative people, so yeah, that was a big clue. Let's see. ADN HD saying, I do have one question. I have a game that I like to have available to my players 24/7. I know that that's already available, but some of the modules that I use require a GM to be logged in. If I leave my game idle on my computer, it will eventually log me out and then idle the game. I'm not seeing the question, but I can anticipate and understand what the question is. Yes, you can't really keep your game open for a long period of time because from our side we expect, oh, there's let's see the rest. Have a macro that can keep my GM user logged in, but I understand that's also not what you guys planned for when setting up the service. So many modules and so much content in my wall, it also takes a whole while to bring the game out of an idle state. Is there a way that I can do this without causing undue extra hosting costs? I hope that question makes sense. Yes, it makes absolute complete sense. That was what I thought you were going for as well from the first message. Um, yes, so you can't have a macro that keeps the GM user logged in. That goes against our terms of service. And other people have the same sort of question and situation. Um, and I believe so. There's not really much that can be done on that front. There's a way to potentially have the macro like logging in as DM or like increasing its privileges, but I don't think there's anything right now that allows that. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but also, usually players, if they go to the game while the DM is not there, it's to check their character sheets or something like that. They shouldn't really be playing without a GM presence. That's just kind of not how tabletop RPGs are meant to be played in general. Um, no, there wouldn't be a module that can simulate a fake DM. I've looked into that. I don't remember when. I think it was back then when I was doing the Trigger Happy module, and I had looked into that. And you can't fake the DM because the problem is not client-based, so you can't do anything um, module side, but it's server side. So what you end up with is that even if you allow a modification to happen, let's say like moving a token that you shouldn't be able to move, if you still allow it with a module that makes you think you're a GM and it allows you to do the move, once you do the move will not work because the server will reject it by saying user X does not have permission to modify documents, you know, whatever the token ID is. You've probably seen that sometimes because I know there's a module that tries to do some things, and usually you would see that with the combat. It would say like user X did not have the permissions to modify combat, because only the GM can. So that was one of the things. What a module might be able to do, however, and what I was talking about with regards to um, uh, like escalating privileges would be to create a different WebSocket connection using a different session ID that would be authenticated as a GM. At that point, it could do all of the GM operations through that GM logged in WebSocket, even if the user actually isn't logged in as a GM. So that should be fairly simple to do as long as the GM doesn't have a password or that the password is saved alongside the like configuration or something like that. It would not be a great idea in my opinion because you can have a malicious user just destroy your world. We've seen cases where a GM fights with their players and a player um, gets annoyed at the GM and then they decide to delete every scene in the world and destroy the world. We've seen that happen, unfortunately. So it's just not something that I would generally recommend. There's a reason why there are these protections that prevent non-GMs from doing, you know, um, uh, damaging stuff. You could always trust your players, yes. In that case, that's what I would be recommending is to have that kind of um, separate connection just for the GM that happens. A module could do that actually. I suppose. Yeah, it would be possible. A module that doesn't fake the GM but actually connects as a GM in a sort of like parallel connection that isn't visible to the user. That would probably work. Um, Would Forge provide something for this? I guess it's too obscure of an issue and not worth. Yeah, it would take a lot of work to achieve something like that, and it's too niche of a problem. And I don't think we need to handle it because it should be the community or Foundry itself that handles something like that. I don't really think it falls under the sort of hosting features, in my opinion. Wouldn't every player be basically a DM then? You could just trust you. Yeah, I mean, not every player would basically be a DM, but every player would have the ability to do what a DM would, which then causes the issues that I was talking about. Yeah, even friends do sometimes get angry and let feelings get the best of them. Something I've read recently. I was just rereading um, Dawnchart from Brandon Sanderson because I'm rereading the Stormlight Archives. If you don't know, really, 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 really recommend the Stormlight Archives books. Um, and in Dawnchart, there was something where it's basically a merchant and they are um, talking with someone like their mentor and saying like, "Can I trust my friend?" And the mentor said, "Whenever you write a contract, you read it, um, and if it's with a friend, you read it twice." And it's not because you don't trust your friends. You should trust your friends. It's just because the fact that they are your friends does not mean that they will not betray you. What will happen is just that when that betrayal comes from a friend, it will hurt twice as much, but it's not immune to betrayal. So yeah, you can trust your friends, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't do something that would piss you off. It's just gonna hurt that much more when they do. So always stay on the safe side. Friends. I'm not sure what Alaric said there. Amjury friends? Angry friends? Ah, okay. um, trust falls, bro. Trust falls. Yeah, I can do a trust fall, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't like do a random trust fall in the middle of nowhere and just expect a friend to be behind me. Um, anyway, I don't know why I said that. I don't think that's quite relevant to the conversation. You would cash me in. Oh my god, you already want to sell me for parts. You're so evil. Right. AD and HD says, totally just wanted to make sure I wouldn't break any term of service. That answers my question. Yes, it would break the term of service to prevent the game from idling, basically. Lectu's asking, do you have pets or like them? I talked about being alone at home. So I do have two pets. We have two bunnies that I mentioned earlier, two really beautiful bunnies. Um, and they're very cute and they're very soft. They're very nice. And I was supposed to feed them an hour ago when the alarm rang, and I'm still here. So I should probably start wrapping up so they can get their food on time. Um, other than that, I am married, although my wife is currently traveling, which is why I was talking about being alone at home earlier. But usually I'm not alone. I tend to be with my wife. Um, yeah, but yeah, but no kids. Not really interested in having kids. Um, which is answering a question that wasn't asked, but that goes beyond if I have pets. Um, I do think kids can be seen as pets, right? Anyone with kids, do you agree that kids are just basically pets that you can order around when they grow old? No? Feed the fluffy bunnies. They're so cute. Yeah. But sometimes they are, I don't know, like one of them anyway. It's like sometimes he'll come and jump on you and you can pet him and all that, and then sometimes he's just gonna like walk backwards and just like try to avoid your hand as much as possible, and it's like, nope, today I don't want to be touched. um which is sad. Ooh, like you have two dogs and four cats. Wow. So I think my wife is there somewhere. uh yeah. For cats, it's a lot. And two dogs. Yeah, I don't know how you do. I think two pets would probably be my limit. Um, I mean, we do have two bunnies. I think if we had like a cat on top of that, it would be okay. So let's say three pets. But you have six, that's a bit too much. It's just so much responsibility and work and like taking care of them and in case they get sick and feeding them every day, etc. It's a lot, and that is also why I don't want to have kids because it's a lot of both responsibility and also just a lot of work. And I have enough trouble taking care of myself. I don't want to have to take care of someone else as well. Yeah, you can't play RPGs with the pets. Um, although you could play RPGs with the pets without them realizing. Um, yeah, have a dog. Zgrimshell, I have a dog and a daughter. I love how you put that in the same sentence. Hundreds of spiders based on numbers and the cleanliness of your house. I might be in the lead click too. uh, the dog is special and your daughter isn't special, Zlatan? Wow. Yana, I did not realize that you had 16 dogs. Wow. Yes, decreasing order of importance. All right, Zlatan might be getting angry now. No, no, no. We know that your daughter is also important and special. Yeah, I know the dog causes all sorts of issues. Anyways, I'll take one final question, I think, and then I need to wrap up and go feed my bunnies. Then go spend some time with friends, I think. Yeah, anyone who can. Yeah, Yana is scary. Yana is scary, and she knows what I'm talking about. Her. Yep, and Zlatan can also confirm that Yana is. Oh, you sent the Reebok or Nike? That's a great video to watch. All right. Okay, I see no more questions, so I think that will wrap it up. I mean, we're closing in on 2 hours of conversation, so uh, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for watching, and for the questions, as well as just, the nice chat and keeping me company. And it was very nice to be here and to be talking with you all, and nice to see all of you. And we hope to see you again, hopefully in a month or two, as usual. Um, Hopefully, not too long this time for the next live stream. We'll keep trying to do them regularly. And yeah, see you again soon. Thank you and take care.